I'm delighted to welcome to the show today lovely lady, a friend, Sue Cooper, who is the founder of Moments of Mass Mindfulness. That's a bit of a mouthful, Sue, isn't it? MOMM, we call it
Mom,
MOMM, don't we?
we do.
So MOMM, I know we met about 5 years ago, I think it was, when you were just going to be creating your first mass mindfulness in the city of Nottingham, in the city centre there.
Yes,
And
that's right.
I was struck on how passionate you were at that time on the positive effects of mindfulness and meditation. So before we start talking about that, which is kind of a key topic for today, let's give the listeners some background about you. So what have you done your whole life? Because I know this is something that you've been working towards over a long period. But
Yeah.
what's your kind of profession?
So my profession is nursing. I became a registered nurse in the mid 70s, and I handed my registration in last year. So about 45 years of nursing within the clinical setting, within managerial setting, and within education. So the full remit, and also in business as well. Had a care home group, and then in about 2006, I became unwell, and I hadn't actually realised at the time what that was, and it was overwhelm, it was stress, and a friend said to me, obviously I confided in a friend that I wasn't feeling very well, didn't know what was wrong, and she said, well, have you ever thought of meditation? And I said, no. So she says, well, let me take you to a meditation group. So she did. And this opened up a whole new world for me of being rather than doing, of finding friendships, and most importantly, starting to have more clarity on within the present moment, day to day. So from this group, I thought, I need to know a little bit more about this. And over the years, somebody introduced me to the work of Dr. Deepak Chopra, who is a lead in mind, body health, integrative health. So I found my way to him in California and trained with him at the Chopra Center in an ancient healing tradition called Ayurveda, which really resonated with me because it's very much a holistic approach to life. And it means the wisdom of life. So it's the natural wisdoms of life. It's not taking anything away, because we still have this wonderful health model, but it's more looking at how nature can help us heal ourselves. And then from that, I went on to train as a meditation and mindfulness teacher with somebody called Sarah McLean, who runs an institute in America. And this whole world has opened up to me. I practice every day. I would say 80% of the time I'm good, as it were. I follow my practices, but I realise that my feet are on the ground and I live in this world very much as well. So it's knowing what it is for me. It's knowing when I go out of balance, and I can quickly or more quickly bring myself back into balance, of having this beautiful sense of awareness, of clarity and creativity. A situation that led me into massive ill health has brought me to vibrant health. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely, yeah, wonderful. So that was 16 years ago, 15 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, 14 years ago,
Right.
since I recognised the fact that I was moving on a path of really terrible overwhelm, illness, all the manifestations of stress, which you don't realise when you're in it. It's only when somebody recognises it often for you or helps you along the path. Yeah, so it's 14 years ago.
And that's another common description for that is burnout, isn't it?
Yes,
Mm.
yes.
Burnout is a very widely recognised term in business, and that's how I came into health as well. In 2009, with my first cancer scare. So the last 10 years have been quite life changing for the pair of us, haven't they, in different ways?
Yes, and it's I often look back and smile to myself, because I decided, I needed a total break away and to find out more about this. And I have never been more active, more passionate, more, I say busy, because busy sometimes sounds a bit mindless, doesn't it? Active mindfully. And the time of retirement, we never really retire, do we, when we're immersed in health and well-being, has really, it's kind of, in a way, a bit like being an elder. It's you to be an elder, within the traditions. You need to have lived a long life of the roller coaster ups and downs, and then pick out, the wisdoms that have led you forward, and maybe other wisdoms in the world, and embed those, and then share those. And I've kind of, for myself, morphed into, I believe, the kind of the person or a voice or the awareness that I was looking for when I was unwell, when I went, I can't do this anymore, I don't know where to turn. So yeah, it's an absolute pleasure and a privilege at this stage of life, to be able to be even more vibrant, and to step up now, actually, Elaine, and be a voice, because it's the voice of experience. And when integrity and passion and professionalism is merged with that, I think the message becomes greater, not necessarily louder. It spreads further.
I totally agree with you there, and resonate with everything you said, Sue. And I think it's a shame that years ago there was this kind of hippie view on meditation and wellness, and um, sort of happy clappy sort of thing. Oh yes, everything is wonderful, and the world's full of, well, the hippie days in the 60s really, and a lot of people kind of poo-pooed the concept of sitting still and enjoying the beauty all around us and this type of thing. And what you just said about bringing integrity, passion, and professionalism into it, I think is really quite profound. So
Yes.
tell us about your MOMM world, MOMM world. Um, so how did the concept of that come about?
Okay. It's like a lot of things. It's gone through a transformation after transformation as it evolves. It's actually started with a dream. I dreamt about co-creating holistic healing hubs. And I was woken, and I had to write this down. It was like, okay, this is way out of something that doesn't normally happen to me. So I wrote down this thought, this vision that I had in my dream. And it was along the lines of, this was in 2016, was to bring together a group of people who I already knew within health and well-being, holistic health and well-being, who I'd worked with or had very long conversations with, to come together and set up a working group to how we could actually start to raise the awareness of another way of being, with all the beautiful creative arts of health and healing. So as I said earlier, the science of health is very well described, but the actual practices are less so. And as you say, Elaine, so rightly, in the 60s and moving forward, a lot of the beautiful things like sound therapy and meditation, dance, qigong, yoga, they were put into a pocket of alternative, and it was either or. And if you went along the alternative, then you were of a different mindset to the normal. What's happened over the years is that it's moved from alternative into complementary. So it's moving this either or. So the people that I asked to come together were scientists. There were people who were practitioners, and we sat around a table. And I just relayed this beautiful vision of helping people experience these beautiful techniques with people who are passionate about it, who are professional, with the integrity. And everybody went, wow, now that is really resonating, because many people were doing this already, but kind of doing it very quietly. And it felt very much that it was time to move into a new dimension of awareness for people to find people, rather than wait until, like yourself and myself, going into burnout or overwhelm to find something. Let's become more visible. So out of this, when we started working on this, we realized it was a very big project, and a number of them said, well, we will definitely support this, but we can't become terribly active in it because we have our own jobs. So that left three of us: myself, a lady called Sunita Passe, who is an Ayurvedic third generation practitioner of Ayurveda, based in Nottingham, and another beautiful lady called Kat Chu, who owned a holistic healing centre in Nottingham called Tiger Bow, and who's third generation Chinese medicine. So between us, we had China, India, and Western medicine covered. And during this time, we're thinking, well, how can we do this? Kat came up with the idea. She said, I've always had a dream of mass meditation, because I really think that's an incredible, powerful way of people finding each other. And from that, we said, well, let's do it, because until we find each other, the idea lays fairly fallow of the holistic healing hubs. Let's raise the vibration of all coming together and finding each other. So that's what we did. We worked always in a voluntary capacity, and a number of other ladies came to join us. A lady called Gina, who worked with Kat, a fabulous lady called Ursula, who did all our marketing. So I really give gratitude from this early foundation of people coming forward and saying, how can I help? I get the vision. So on May the 13th, 2017, we came together in Nottingham Market Square. We had about 35 little tents, little marquees around the outside perimeter. And at 12 o'clock, the Lord Mayor, the bells were ringing. The Lord Mayor announced the fact that we were going to have a mass meditation. And we had between 600 and 700 people sitting, and you were there, Elaine, we're sitting on the market floor, a market square floor, the slab square as we call it. And we came together in this beautiful meditation led by Sarah McLean, who'd flown in from the United States, who I trained with. It was quite phenomenal. And then the 20 minutes of the meditation, there was an opportunity to talk to people next to you in a little circle as well. And then then we opened it up, and then all the marquees around the outside, there was actually nothing to buy, but there was a lot of experiences to be had. So people found each other. People found what it was like to experience a 15-minute mini treatment of massage or facials, in terms of looking at the nadis and the acupressure points, reflexology. Meditations were going on throughout the day with local and international leaders leading meditations in the marquee. And then there were people who had their own marquees that were talking about what they were doing in the community to bring awareness of holistic healing. We think we had probably between 4,500 and 5,000 people come through. It is usually a busy day in the market square, so there was a natural flow of people, but it brought huge amounts of people in, because the feedback we got afterwards said, thank you, we found each other. And I would say that most of the businesses after that really flourished, because people said, I didn't know that you did this, so let me come and have a treatment in your... so the momentum was started. So that was in 2016. In 2017, another group came in to do it in Nottingham. It had really taken a lot to put on such a big event. So another group came in Nottingham, but during the year, some people who were based in Bristol had heard about what we had done, and they said, we would really love to do this. It's such a fabulous idea, and we'd like to do it in our city centre. Absolutely, may I help? So the Nottingham one went along with this different group, again, second weekend in May, and I went down to Bristol to help the Bristol team do it at the same time. There was no interconnectivity through, the internet or anything. It was just that we knew we were doing it at the same time. And out of that beautiful meditation led by the mindfulness teachers, 3 people came forward and said, please may I do it in my town. I love it so much. It's been the most incredible experience. Well, let's try. So 2017 was Nottingham, 2018 was Nottingham and Bristol. 2019 was, well, how can we make this happen? There has to be something more joined up if we're going to get 5 locations. So this wonderful man came into my life who is an expert, a gentleman by the name of Irfan, on operations and the internet. It needed to be run through the internet really for us all to find each other. And what happened in May, during that time, it gathered its momentum. The name was, well, these are moments of mass mindfulness. And then the word MOMM came up, and this was so beautiful because it resonates with the mother, the mom, the moments of mass mindfulness, the coming together with care and compassion, and for ourselves, for others, and for the world. So the whole thing started to resonate. So as we worked towards maybe having it with 5 places, what actually happened was the momentum became so huge that in May 2019, last May, not only were we fortunate to partner with HeartMath in the UK, who are one of the leaders in science in the resonance of the heart and bringing our own nervous system into coherence, which really makes all the difference when we are in meditation, and then the creativity afterwards. So HeartMath partnered with us. Dr. Dan Siegel, who's a leading world voice in the Mindsight Institute, which is the development of the brain and particularly within children. And very many others came forward, and we ran the events over that weekend. We became global. We had 52 countries come together. Sorry, I've just got a little wobble in my voice because it's still quite so sensational. 52 countries, there were about 360 locations. And we know for sure there was about 10,500 people because we could log those people, but we actually believe that it was a hugely significant amount more. HeartMath had developed an app in which to use so that they could log this. And we all came on round about the same time, and it blew the app within 10 minutes. There was the sheer volume of people coming on to use the app, and the sheer volume of people joining together. It was too much. So there's nothing wrong with the app. It had done loads and loads of testings. It was the sheer volume. So we knew that there was this massive wave. So we said, let's do this again, but let's not wait till next year, because we had this momentum. More people said we wanted to do it. So on the United Nations Day of Peace, on the 21st of September 2019, we set up another MOMM, and again with HeartMath. And one of the organisers, the directors of HeartMath in the United States, Howard Martin and Roland McCraty. Howard Martin flew over to London, and we co-hosted a moment of mass mindfulness for World Peace Day, and we live streamed it, and we know we had 46 countries joining us. We know we had over 600 locations, and we know that we had around about 16,000 people that we know of, but we know that it was significantly more. So I'm taking a pause here, and I'm taking a breath, because the momentous activity that's generated through this, knowing that we were in a way onto something as volunteers and as a heart-based group of people, is what can we do next? What can we do? How can we keep this flowing? So we have our next one, which is why it's so delightful to talk to you, because we are 19 days away from our next one, which is going to be on the 10th of May 2020 at 12 midday in the local time zones throughout the world. And I don't know if this is the time that you want me to continue with this, or to take a little break for you too.
Let's have a break for one of your records. I ask guests to choose 2 records. It's really quite remarkable, Sue, and very, very humbling to speak with you, because when we met way back in 2000 and early 2016,
Yes.
we were having this conversation in a cafe
Yeah.
over a cup of green tea, and
Yeah.
now look, absolutely remarkable. You know, so chuffed, really, really amazing. Let's hear why you chose "Let It Be" by the Beatles.
Well, going back to the 60s, isn't it funny how you started talking about that? The Beatles were one of the most vibrant groups in the whole world coming out of Liverpool. And they, I do believe, changed everything in terms of music, and in terms of personality, and in terms of being light and bright and free and fun. And Paul McCartney dreamt this song, "Let It Be," and I've researched this a lot, because I think, actually, what does it mean? It talks about Mother Mary came to me, and there's the inference that it's the Mother Mary. He says it's about his mother. His mother was called Mary, and he lost her when he was very young. He was only a small child, I think about 6, if I've got that right. And he was dreaming about his mother, and she came to him in this dream. And again, I get very moved by this, because every person who lives on this planet, who is alive on this planet, came through a mother. And the mother, the care and the nurturing that the mother, it's just there in this song, Paul McCartney. So he had a dream, I had a dream, and those two dreams have materialized into something more than I could ever imagine. And Paul McCartney said, dreamed more than he could ever imagine. This song is really very close to his heart. So this is why I chose it as one of the songs representing MOMM.
Fantastic. So here we are, "Let It Be" by the Beatles. So such a beautiful song, and heartfelt words there. So Sue, you've done an absolutely remarkable job with developing this MOMM, the moments of mass meditation, literally all over the globe, just from a dream. It just shows you, doesn't it, what can be achieved.
Yes, and I think if the intention is pure, and the back to the word integrity, it's a small word, isn't it? But it's huge, that it's like the universe comes to meet you when one is in alignment of letting it flow. What I've learned is get myself out of the way, and my resistance to stepping forward and being in the shadows, because it's not necessarily always comfortable to be leading something, but it's okay, rise up. And as we are all rising up in this extraordinary time that we're finding ourselves, and rise up, and if we all become the voice, a professional voice, and the newly emerging world that we are about to be released into, we don't know what it's going to be like. But if we can move forward within this integrity, within this strength of mission and purpose, with a strong nervous system, our hormonal system in balance, then this word immunity, which was very much talked about within medicine, and certainly within holistic health, but it's a common parlance word now, isn't it? That our own immunity will see us through. But the way to balance our own immunity, in my view, one of the major ways to do it is through stillness. And the beautiful way to stillness is through meditation and mindfulness. So it's an emergence of a new way, and moving from where the 60s, and yes, you were right, Elaine, about it being misunderstood, but it was like the precursor for what was to come 50 years later, and 50, 60. And when I looked at the date of the release of Let It Be, it was 1970. And we're now 2020, so exactly 50 years on. Literally, it was the 8th of May that record was released. So 50 years on, half a century later, we're moving into a world where we're not looking to persuade anybody. We're looking to become visible, and to become present, and to find each other in our in our communities. So yeah, MOMM is going to happen. It's going to happen on the 10th of May 2020, as I said earlier, at 12 midday. And the dream at the very beginning was about co-creating compassionate communities, and this is still the foundation of the MOMM vision. So shall I move forward with how it's evolving?
Please do. Yes, definitely.
Well, in this time, it's MOMM, Moments of Mass Mindfulness, is going to be 100% virtual. Previously, we've had gatherings, and of course, we're not able to have gatherings. So it's very, very simple to do. We don't have to sell tickets for anything. We don't have to find venues. We have to find a place in our own homes, I would suggest, where we feel comfort, where we feel we can spend probably between 20, 40, 60 minutes, between 20 and 60 minutes, enjoying some time of peace and quiet and stillness, either by ourselves or with others. So it's this is twofold. I'm asking if people would consider or be invited to host a MOMM in their own home. Gather people, be it within their own home or online, people who are interested and have expressed an interest towards meditation and mindfulness, and join together. We've got all the internet now. We've got Zooms and we've got Instagrams and Facebooks where people can join, WhatsApp. So it could be a couple of people, it could be 100 if you've got the facilities to do so. It could be however many people you want. Come together in this beautiful community that you're creating. Now, if you're hosting one, this is taking full responsibility of this gathering that you're hosting. If you are a teacher or a guide already, if you're a meditation teacher, a mindfulness teacher, then hosting a group is very straightforward, because you're now probably very used to being online and meditating or gathering a group of people and being mindful together. So if whoever's hosting a group, we're saying there's no rules here as long as we follow the professionalism and the integrity of the intention behind it. 10 minutes, I would suggest, of gathering people and making each person feel comfortable in their own space, and coming together, and maybe with a self-inquiry question of asking yourself silently, what is my heart's desire? What is my heart's desire? What is it that I would like to experience, feel, either during the meditation or afterwards, or as we're emerging into a world of physical connection again? So that's the first few minutes, however long that takes, and this starts about midday, and then moving into the main body of it, which is a meditation. So for a host who is a guide, a teacher, to do their own compassionate, loving kindness meditation, however feels right for them. If you are seeking further resources within the MOMM world, MOMM world.org website, there is a 20-minute loving kindness guided meditation that I downloaded, and it's free. It's been peer reviewed, and it's really very beautiful. So there's a meditation there. So that's two ways. It's if you're a teacher or a guide, feel confident to be able to lead a meditation, then please 20 minutes. Or using one of the many resources, and there's a script. So that's the main body, and then coming out of it, maybe that's enough. Maybe this is an opportunity, as we did in the market square, of saying, let's generate some conversation between us and find out what is it that we would love to co-create moving forward. It may be that was enough and that was beautiful. But as we start to awaken to the fact that, stillness and the breath and the life and the connection with ourselves, the connection with our families, the connection with the world, we start to see a bigger picture, knowing that, you know, we've retreated from the world and look how the world is flourishing. So having those conversations about what would each one of us like to do next to continue to co-create more loving kindness within our own lives, within our own relationships, within our world. And then maybe connecting with us on MOMM World afterwards and feeding back. We'll put out a feedback form as we did before. Tell us what happened. Tell us what happened for you. You don't have to by any means. Send us some photographs. That would be wonderful. Send us whatever feels right. The pictures of you doing it in your garden with your children, whatever feels right. Raising the energy of what is it that you want to create within your community moving forward. And then we are co-creating these beautiful compassionate communities. It's evolving. We don't know really what the future holds, but if we can move into the future with a strong nervous system and a high vibrant immune system, my goodness, and we found each other. Whatever's waiting for us as we emerge, like the butterfly out of the cocoon, we found each other and we're there to help support moving forward. I hope that has inspired a little. Does that make sense?
Let's hope. I know there's lots of mindfulness teachers who'll be listening to this through the connections that I have. So let's hope that they will be inspired by your wonderful lead. So, what does your husband think about all of this? Does he think you've lost the plot? Is he going along with it? Because 45 years a nurse and now this.
Yes, he's very, very supportive, but it doesn't necessarily have the same passion, because, you know, what's beautiful is it's my passion. But I did overhear him saying during the mass meditation that we did to somebody who was also a participant who was, and he said, if I describe Sue, I would describe her as a force of nature. I laughed at this. I thought, well, actually, maybe that's correct. I don't know, but it is wonderful. I have to be very mindful that it is my journey. It is my. He supports me. He cooks. He does. He nurtures me in that way, and I get on and do it. But I have to be grounded, and I have to be very careful that this is a big part of my life, but there's also a different part of my life as well, which is the party girl. I'm enjoying that as well.
Tell us a bit about the science behind all this. You mentioned Heart Math Institute, and
Yes.
you've mentioned about heart and brain connection and this sort of thing. So talk us a bit about the science around it, Sue.
Yeah, the science of mindfulness and meditation. It's vast. And John Kabat-Zinn, who is classed as sort of the modern day godfather of modern mindfulness. He'll be the first to say, I've heard him say it so many times, that there is so much out there that it can be overwhelming. So it's finding peer-reviewed documents which support this. But the science is showing, this is very much in a nutshell, that when you settle the nervous system, and this is why we follow very much the breath, because the breath is with us from the moment we're born until we take our last breath. If we can follow the breath and we can start to become very conscious of the breath, and we can follow it longer, slower, deep breath to begin with, what that does is it activates something, the longest nerve in the body, called the vagus nerve, spelled VAGUS, like Las Vegas, but slightly a different spelling. And this then, as we stimulate the vagus nerve, this is like the switchboard between the stress response, which is the sympathetic nervous system, which runs up the spine, remembering S, sympathetic, spine, and stress, which is when we move into fight, flight, freeze mode, which is where many of us find ourselves when we're moving into fear. As we take this long, slow breath, we stimulate the vagus nerve, which runs through the diaphragm, because we have to stimulate the diaphragm as we're taking this breath, and it massages the vagus nerve. And what that does is it switches the nervous system into the parasympathetic nervous system, which is classed as the rest and digest. Because when we're in fight flight, we are not capable of taking a long, slow, deep breath. We're in very short, shallow breath because our heart is pumping. And we're pumping all this blood around our body to freeze or to fly or to fight. So the science of neuroscience, this is what they're looking at. There are more neural pathways that go from the heart to the brain than there is the other way. And a beautiful scientist to follow the work of is a gentleman called Richard Davidson, which is spelled Davison. I think he works with the Dalai Lama. He's based at the University of, I think it's Wisconsin. And he works with John Kabat-Zinn as well for the science. Now, HeartMath started it in about 1990. And I am going to be putting a link onto my website because HeartMath have released this yesterday about a little bit about the history of HeartMath and the free training that they are giving at the moment because of the time that we find ourselves in for more people to connect with the work of HeartMath, which they have two parts to HeartMath. One is the training, and their trainers are all heavily involved in MOMM and have been for the last year, and many of the HeartMath trainers will be leading this. And there's the Global Coherence Initiative, and that's the other part of HeartMath, which is the scientific part. So the HeartMath, they call it heart lock-in, which is quite interesting because that's one of the terms we're using now as we're cocooning, is balancing the in-breath and balancing the out-breath. So if you breathe in for the count of 5, you breathe out for the count of 5. And as you do this with your attention on your heart, the science is showing that you bring your heart and your brain into this beautiful alignment where you are at that, it's called coherence, where you're at that space, that absolute place of your heart is beating at virtually the same rhythm as your brain, but your heart has this electromagnetic field, which is 5,000 times stronger than the electromagnetic field of your brain. So I just want to give you just a small introduction to HeartMath. It's really the practice for MOMM really is giving leads, giving validation to science, and then to follow those leads yourself to find out what it is in there that would really resonate with you. And this is about finding the own experience for you to go on your own path. So to be involved with HeartMath is a huge privilege. And likewise, I was in California, I was with them only a matter of weeks ago. Likewise, they said the same about the MOMM initiative. They feel very happy, very proud, and very pleased to be participating in this movement. So then if we move into further science, the work of Dr. Dan Siegel is phenomenal. And if I could spell his name for you, which is, his surname is S-I-E-G-E-L, Dr. Daniel Siegel. And he's got the Mindsight Institute in California. And I was very fortunate to be with him in person last month. And I met Dan in 2016 when I was with Dr. Deepak Chopra, one of his trainings. And he was doing a meditation called the Wheel of Awareness meditation, which is, after I'd done this meditation with him on 3 early mornings, I really felt something shift. And I said to Dr. Dan Siegel, do you ever come over to the UK? And he said, yes, I do. I said, would you come over to the UK and do the Wheel of Awareness with me? And he looked at me because I was this lady who just came forward. And I said, I live very close to the home of Sir Isaac Newton. And Sir Isaac Newton was the lead in classic physics in 1600s. What I felt here is something very different. It feels like the emergence of consciousness he talks a lot about. And if we could bring the Wheel of Awareness to the foot of the tree where Sir Isaac Newton felt the apple or saw the apple drop, and this is where the gravitational field and all the other work that he did. I just feel that it could be the emergence of the old world with the new world, the integration. And he laughed and he goes, "Sure, well, that's a wild idea." And it happened. It happened very coincidentally. I'd already booked the house before I met him to do a mass meditation 2 days after we did the mass meditation in Nottingham in 2016. And he had one free day in his European calendar, and it was the day that I'd booked the house. And he came. He came up from his huge talks that he'd been doing in Europe and London. He gifted his time. He did the meditation around the tree. There was 52 of us sat around the tree. And I felt, and many of us felt on that day, a shift. It was like another new emergence. And he's obviously never forgotten it. There's a number of videos out, and again, I can link that. He then went from us, we took him down to Stansted Airport, and he flew out to Ireland, to the home of John O'Donoghue, who he did a lot of work with, who was a mystic from Ireland who sadly died. And his work with John O'Donoghue is huge. And when I was with him in San Francisco a number of weeks ago, he said, "Please, whatever I can do for you, I will do." So I'm now in liaison with him. We're just waiting to find out if we can record a meditation for the children during that period. And it's a kind of, this is an evolution. Watch this space, because day by day people are coming forward and saying, "Please may I help, and please may I be part of this," and everybody is welcome. It's for everybody. So yes, those two, that's a very long answer to the science. But when we have got the people who are dealing with the heart math, and we have people who are really cutting edge with the brain, integrating those two together, those two huge bodies of work with others within MOMM, is bringing the science to the experience of the practice of mindfulness and meditation, for each one of us to feel whatever we feel during that time, because that is, to me, the real science. And this is what happened to me in my own life, is when I felt the feeling of what it felt like when I was taken to meditation classes. Not necessarily immediately. I went again and again and again. It's like, whoa, I feel slightly different, but I don't know what it is. And trusting those people that I went with, and then setting up my own groups. And this is the result of a beautiful, heartbreaking journey to start with, that is I feel inspiring as I explain it and share it with you. And thank you, Elaine, for letting me have a voice to be able to share this with you and anybody and everybody else who's listening, and inviting you, please come forward, please rise up, and please be a voice on the 10th of May 2020 at 12 o'clock. Thank you.
It's an absolute pleasure to always, when I come to Nottingham, to meet up with you, Sue. And I was one of those 52 people around the tree with the Dan Siegel experience, and I too experienced a shift. I'm not a meditator. I'm not a natural meditator. I've been told that I'm an active meditator, so I kind of go wandering off when I'm gardening or driving or writing. And that experience with the wheel of awareness underneath the Isaac Newton tree has stayed with me. I often think about it. It was really quite calming, wonderful experience.
Oh, yes, and I, as I was talking, I could see you there, and I thought, well, obviously it's for you to share whether you wanted your audience to know you were there. It was very, very special. And when I was with Dan Siegel and his beautiful wife, Caroline Welsh, who's just written a book on mindfulness for women, which has literally just been released, and she's looking forward to being involved moving forward. It's those little nuggets along the way. We do what we do, don't we, Elaine? And I'm sure all your listeners, many of your listeners, will feel the same. There is a path that we're working towards, and for this it's the next MOMM. But that's a moment in time. And what I've learned, and I've had wise counsel, including yourself, on this, said, but the path is the long and winding road. Really, it's the golden nuggets that we pick up along the way that adds to the experience of, oh, that was interesting. That was an interesting encounter, which we start to notice as we become stiller and more aware, more conscious of and then we move along, and then another little beautiful something happens. But I'm at the stage now where I reflect on Steve Jobs, who did this beautiful speech at Stanford University, where he talked about joining up the dots. And he talks about, I'm standing here now talking to you, and I'm joining up the dots of my life. And it makes absolute perfect sense to be able to be here at this moment in time, talking to you about this, because the highs and the lows. And this is what I feel has happened is, we do what we do because we feel that it feels the right thing to do. But when we stand at that moment, it's like, now this is why I met that person. This is why that person came forward. That person has such integrity and professionalism as well. That's why we've maintained this relationship. And then when we stand together in our truth at a given point, whatever that point is, for me, it's MOMM on the 10th of May. It's like, you take a collective breath. It's like, okay, let's activate now and let's amplify. Let's activate out the heart-based resonance and let's amplify it back to ourselves and to the world. And it starts for a glimpse of time to make sense, but it's what happens afterwards. What does it mean to you as we move forward? What is it that's inspired you to do a little bit more for yourself in this beautiful self-care to stay well and balanced? What is it that you can do in the world to help the world heal as well and care for the world? And the two are interconnected, and this is the basis of Ayurveda. It's the interconnectivity of yourself and the world. The world is the extended body. It feeds us, it nourishes us, it gives us water, it gives us air to breathe, it gives us space to move around. And I believe that many of us are awakening to the fact of our beautiful world, when left to be on its own, will continue to support and nourish us. So that is the goal of the MOMM, the mother, the nurturing, the kindness, the care, the compassion, the MOMM.
Wonderful. Nothing is ever wasted, is it? As you say, joining the dots up, and as well, coincidence. There's no such thing as coincidences. There is opportunity and timing. You mentioned Steve Jobs. I actually shared something this morning about Steve Jobs when he was saying that you can only live in one house, and it doesn't matter how much. You can only drive one car, no matter how much it costs, or you use one handbag at a time, and this sort of thing. And he was talking about live your life, enjoy the peace, enjoy the friendship, be well, look after yourself, take responsibility, and all these trinkets and wealth that people aspire to. Actually, if you don't have health, happiness, friendship, kindness, compassion, all that sort of stuff, what do you have? You have nothing, do you?
You have a void. It's a void, isn't it? And that was the void that I got myself into. And then filling that void again, not knowing what it was. It was just like, I need to heal me, and if I can heal me, then maybe I can offer this, further. It starts with self, doesn't it, and then radiates out. So yes, it's interesting, and again, Steve Jobs was a man of the 60s. When he had one book on his iPad. I'm sure you know this, don't you? It's called Autobiography of a Yogi, by one of the first people, the first swamis that came over to America to talk about the ancient traditions of India, meditation and mindfulness, Paramahansa Yogananda. And that was the one book that Steve Jobs had on his iPad. And at his funeral, there were 600 copies of this one book given out, and with the message of, this is worth reading. So I share that because I follow also, many of those paths of Indian and Chinese and traditional wisdoms. So it's bringing those beautiful wisdoms back into current day, and for us to find what it is that we want to nurture and nourish us. There's such a wealth of stuff, and it's finding that there is such a wealth. What is it for me? And it's finding those little paths to go on yourself. So it's the science, it's the spirituality, it's the wisdoms, it's the coming together of, you know, in the ancient traditions of tribes, coming together in our own little tribes of what nurtures and nourishes me within my cocoon where we are at the moment. We've got our own little sacred spaces, haven't we, in our own homes as we meditate there. And then when we emerge as these butterflies, we will all emerge into this heart-based world. We know that at any time that we can touch back to base, to our tribe, within this community, whatever the communities that you're joining, and gathering and being part of. So MOMM is a vehicle for that, and MOMM stands independent. I work in service to community. I seek for nothing, and it's that freedom, and it's a really beautiful place to be. And I'm so grateful to you, Elaine, to your listeners for listening to this, and for, if it feels the invitation inspired to take action, please become a host and step up and rise up, and become a voice of kindness and compassion. It's there.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
And get out of our own way to find whatever balance is right for us, because we're all different, aren't we?
We are. We're unique, aren't we? And this is the beauty of the uniqueness of each individual. But we do need the support of others. You know, we've both found that, haven't we? I've certainly found the support of others has been instrumental of me staying grounded, staying balanced, and having a lot of fun. And when I go off at a tangent, there's some wise counsellors go, "Uh-oh, come on, you know, is that where you want to be?" Or I ask for advice, and it's given freely. And this is what the MOMM community is all about: finding people who help support, nourish you, and moving forward together, in any shape or form, but knowing that you're not alone. We're all one.
Absolutely fabulous. And I'm grinning, and we're on the radio, but I'm grinning from ear to ear here, as I'm sure you are as well, and hopefully our listeners are. So final song, Love Within by Tina Turner. Why did you choose this, Sue?
This absolutely melts my heart. Everything about it. It's a long track. It's in 3 parts. It's the music of chanting to begin with, because Tina Turner is now doing a lot of chanting. It's lots of feminine voices, and then she moves into words in the middle, and she talks about the mother, and she talks about it's not anything to do with gender. It's about each one of us has a feminine aspect within us, whether you're male or female. You've got masculine and feminine. And she talks about going to the mother within. So that resonates on every level. And then the last part is the song Amazing Grace that she sings. I listen to it all the time, but when I've listened to it and I've shared it, it's an experience. It's a meditation in itself. So I turn everything off and I listen, and I become absorbed in this piece within a 10-11 minute piece. And it puts me back into coherence, puts me back into center. And I have it playing a lot just in the background. I have it playing in the bathroom in the morning, you know. So it follows me around, this song, and I'm so thrilled that you're going to be sharing it.
Lovely, and I'm looking forward to hearing it. I hadn't come across it, so thank you for introducing to us. So Sue, to finish up then, how do people get in touch with you, with the MOMM experience, to volunteer, to host a group, etc.? Remind us of the website.
Okay, it's www.momm, M-O-M-M, world, all one word, mommworld.org. We're not looking for registrations, but we're looking for support and help. So it's not about data collection. It's about come to the website. There will be more put up on the website as we evolve now, because it's these 19 days to become involved. So if you want to, and everything stays in confidence, if you want to put your details in, and I will come back to you. So email me. Simply just start the process internally of saying, you know, I really would like at 12 midday to gather a group of people. You don't need to have to get in touch with me. Simply just what feels right for you. I would like to hold a mom, and set that intention at 12 o'clock on the 10th of May. And coincidentally, it's Mother's Day in every country in the world, except the UK and Ireland, where it's Mental Health Awareness Week or coming up. So I would like to hold a mom. What is it that I would like to do? And feel free to do whatever feels right for you, and gather with your pet, gather with your family, gather with your friends. And if there's any way that I can help facilitate, there is only me, but there's a huge amount of people who are interested in this, and we're going to open up the Facebook page, Instagram, and all the other social media platforms for conversations. So watch out for that, and that's hashtag #MOMWorld or @MOMWorld. Join in. You know, this is a collective. This is raising the awareness, raising consciousness as a collective, and for it not to be bottlenecked in any shape or form. And as we've said, we're letting it flow free. So be inspired.
Thank you, Sue Cooper, founder of MOMM World. Fabulous to talk to you today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you, Elaine. And thank you for everything that you do to raise awareness of perfect health, and to all your vibrant listeners as well. We're of one mind. That's why we're connecting through this. So I am so appreciative of giving me an opportunity to share. Thank you.
Most welcome. And here is Tina Turner, Love Within.